Right, I'm going to mute the sound. I'm going to come into a seated position first, just get that roll through the spine, just to get some of the other movements flowing a little easier. So we're going to start with the feet hip distance. Hands onto your knees, pull up through the top of the head, so you've got a nice strong step position to begin with. And if you need to, you can take the feet a little further forward, just to help you get that nice alignment first. So keep your chin tucked in, pull it back to the throat and fix your eye gaze forward. Start with your tailbone, just a little scoop under. And it should look like you're barely moving to begin with. So you feel like you're pointing your hip bones up towards your rib cage. That should create a stretch just underneath your ribs. So feel like you're pulling the head up first and then scooping your tailbone under. And again, the ribs stay still, belly button presses through towards the spine and the crown of the head, like you've got a piece of rope on it, pulling you up to the ceiling. And hopefully that's where you'll feel the stretch into the lower back. Now from the stretch into your lower back, we go a little further. So you've got the scoop under, then you're going to roll down, keep the eye gaze forward, and then come forward and lift your chest. Tailbone first, keeping the length into the neck and the upper back. Then roll down slowly. Don't rush this bit, because this is what's going to help your spine to move a little easier as we progress. So we're trying to get that stretch firstly into the lower back. And as you roll a little further back, helps bring the stretch a little higher up into the spine. And once more. So you can stay with either of those moves if you feel that you benefit from them more. Or we're going to add in the arms. And we're going to roll it a little further. So arms and on your shoulders. You tuck under the bottom first. As you come forward, we're going to extension, so we lift the arms. Breathe in, tailbone under. Keep the eye gaze forward. So the position of your neck never changes. You're not letting the head drop to the floor, and you're not looking up to the ceiling as you lift the arms. If you fix your eye gaze on something, and as you roll back, you're trying to keep the eye gaze fixed. And as you come forward, keep the eye gaze fixed on that same place. Breathing in as you roll back. Breathing out as you come forwards. Just focus on the movement through the spine first of all. And one last time. Adding on, your palms now face down. You're going to roll back, bring your arms out to the side, to the centre, push forward and then lift. So your palms down, open out to the side, to the centre, push forward and lift. Now when the arms come back, don't let your ribs flare. So you're trying to maintain that C shape in your spine. So we start to work into the upper abdominals, holding the rib cage down as the arms just sweep out to the side. Couple more here. Breathe out when you're ready to push forward. Breath in, out, in, out and lift. Come all the way down this time. Rest your hands, bring your knees in, bring your feet together. So we're going to knee rolls to get some work again through the waist and through the spine. Knees going together, ribs down on the ground, roll your knees to the right, into the centre, and then over to the left. Now when you roll your knees from side to side, you're aiming to keep the edge of your feet together. So when you roll to your right, your left foot lifts off the floor, and when you roll to the left, your right foot lifts off the floor. Now again, as you're moving, you're trying to keep the rib cage and both shoulders down on the ground. We're looking for the stretch in our waist between our ribs and our hips. As you roll to your right, you're coming with the weight into your right buttock and letting your left buttock lift. But again, aiming to keep the ribs down. Now, you can add a little bit more resistance into those waist muscles by just simply bringing the knees up above the hips. The feet and the knees are still glued together. You can take the arms wider to give you a stronger base through your upper body. And as you're moving the knees from side to side, you're trying to keep the knees glued together. What happens sometimes is as you roll, the knees want to separate. So only take the knees to the point where you feel they're staying together. And as you roll to your right, it's almost like you're pushing your left knee forward to stay next to your right knee. And as you get the feeling that you're pushing the knee forward, you'll feel a little bit more stretch and work into the lower back and into your waist. Now with the leg extension, as you roll to your right, extend to your left leg, so the top leg. Knees come back into the centre, breathing in, breathing out to the centre. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And feel that when you come back into the centre, you're drawing your belly button back down towards the spine. Pulling the ribs back in line with your hips, back in line with your ribs. The ribs are staying perfectly still, of course. Chin's not in, nice and long through the back of the neck. And then if you want to make it a little bit harder for your last 5, double leg lift, bend the knees into the centre. If you need to bring it down a level or 2, knees stay at 90 or feet back on the ground. Physically roll onto the outside of your hip if you can. And keep the opposite shoulder pressing down into the floor. I don't know if that was 4 or 5, but we'll do one more on each side, just to be sure. And then bend your knees and place your feet down onto the ground. Your hands now come to your head. Shoulders are away from the ears, and we're going to come into a cross crawl. We're going to add the feet as we go, but for now, the feet can stay rested. Chin tucks in. Lift the head first. The chin comes to chest, ribs to hips. Reach to your right knee, into the centre, over to the left knee, into the centre, and roll back down. Now your option from here is to support the weight of your head if you struggle with the neck. So you can let the hand come behind the head, but never pull the head forward with the hands. Physically feel that you're lifting by pulling from the rib cage, trying to hold the ribs in position as you twist from one side over to the other. Now again, with the hand behind the head, it just helps to encourage the lift to come from here rather than lifting through the neck. And when we tend to get more in the neck, it tends to be because the head drops back and we look up to the ceiling. So these muscles lengthen, and you have to pull through these muscles to pull the head in first, and then by the time you got to here, the neck muscles are quite tight. That's why we start with the chin nodding in, like you've got a little golf ball underneath the chin. And you're trying to maintain that position with the golf ball under your chin as you lower back down. Sometimes it helps to have a block or a cushion behind the head, so again it can stop the head going as far back. And it's difficult, I've known, for some people if you're a little bit more rounded through the upper back. Because of your posture then, instead of being able to come all the way back down through the spine, the head then wants to drop back, and then we lift from the neck. And so if that's happening, it's handy having a cushion or a block here, stop the head going as far back. Then we start to think about the waist. As we twist, the back of the hand reaches to the outside of your knee. Now the opposite elbow is going to come down and almost try and touch the floor. So as you reach your right hand across, your left elbow pulls back, touches the ground if you can, and then over to the other side, into the centre and ease down. Now you can continue there, and that nice little roll down between each one. Or with me, staying in the centre, reach your right hand to your right knee, and then your left hand. And what you're going to do is pull the elbow back to the floor, fingertips pointing to the knee, and you've got this little bit of rotation through the upper body. Now gently pressing down with your tailbone, so it's keeping the hips and the feet nice and still, and turn with the head and the shoulders. And try and pull the opposite elbow further back. Again, if you find that difficult, you can just support the head and touch one knee and then the other. Or stay in here. 5, 4, 3, 2. Slow and controlled is good. And your last one. And then just gently rolling back down. So both feet on the ground, knees hip distance. Soft imprint, not too much so you're forcing your back to the floor, but just aware there's a little bit of contact between your lower back and your mat. Now both feet are light on eggshells, starting with your right knee. Lift the knee above the hip, flex your foot, push it forwards, lower it to the ground without letting the back lift away from the ground. You're going to bring the knee down, place it back onto your eggshell. Your left knee lifts, feel the lower back to the floor and try and hold the back down as your leg extends. Now you're not forcing the back into the floor. You're just aware that when you lift the leg, the back isn't lifting. So it's just to give you a little bit of awareness, not to make the muscles in the back work to press it down. You're using your core muscles to hold the spine in position. And then just resisting the weight and the movement from your legs. Now it really helps if when you bring your foot back in, you imagine it resting onto an eggshell. So it stops you pushing through the foot on the floor to stabilise the hips. Then hopefully you instantly feel your tummy muscles working a little bit harder. So doing good core work is not about doing loads of sit-ups at speed. It's about just controlling the position of your spine, maintaining that stillness as you move the limbs a lot of the time. Which is perfect for our next one. Stay with that one if you prefer. We're going to bring both knees up above the hips. Again, soft imprint, not forcing the back down but feeling the connection. Extend, flex the foot and lower, and then bring the knee back above the hip. Breathing in as you lower, out with the lift. Now each time the knee comes just back above the hip. If they come over the belly, the weight of the knees is going to hold the back down and you're going to be able to physically lower your legs without much work in your tummy. So again, feel that you're bringing the knees back to this 90-degree position above the hip. And you should feel again instantly, when I can speak properly, how much more your core has to work because you've not got the weight of the knees holding the back down on the ground. Breathe in as you extend. Breathe out as you bring it back. Slow and steady. It's all we need to do. And you might notice the head starting to tilt back. So think about the chin nodded in. And again, if you need a block or a cushion behind the head, feel free to place the block there. 2 more on each side. Slowly, don't rush. I want you to feel the work in your tummy as you bring that leg down. Tummy muscles working to keep the spine still. And your last one. And then you can place both feet down. Walk the feet back, tilt your pelvis back, just coming up into a hip bridge. Now really tilt the pelvis back and try and keep that tilt as you roll up. So you probably feel that you won't go as far, but as you keep that pelvis tilted back, it's just going to help to bring a stretch into the hip flexors and into your quads. Gently squeeze the bottom to push the hips up and pressing down into your shoulders. Right, roll down when you're ready. We're going to bring those last 2 movements together. So we're going to start with the feet on the ground again. So feet hip distance, hands come back to the head, or again behind the head, but don't pull with the head. We're going to lift the head, right knee lifts, into the centre, left knee lifts, into the centre, and lower down. And again, chin tucks in. So this is your first option, just with the knee lift, 1 knee lifts, and then the other. Now a little harder. As you come into the centre, I'm going to bring the knees up above the hips. Lift. As you reach your right knee, your left leg extends and then back into the centre. Now you're going to stay at the top if you can. Each time you can bring the hands behind the back of the head and hold the head with the hand and then twist through the upper body. As you're on the top of this crunch, what you're trying to do is use the upper abdominals to draw the ribs to the hips rather than trying to push the head forward. So again, the length is into the back of the neck. You're keeping that chin tucked in and trying to hold the upper body up from here rather than here. And just take it slow. If you need to, bring the feet back down. Breathing out with a twist, in as you come to the centre. Out through the mouth, in through the nose. Take a little pause, press the back down, hold it down to the ground. See if you can pull the elbow down to the ground. So you just get a little bit more twist through the upper body. 2 more each side. No rushing. There's no rush. Maybe a little one. And your last one. And then from here, place both feet down. Rest the head. Rest the hands. Take the legs out a little bit straighter. So softness in the knees. So you're not pressing the back of your knees down to the floor. That's just going to help to give the pelvis a little bit more movement. Now again, if you need to at any point, hand can sit behind the head. We're going to come into our roll ups. So the fingers reaching towards the knees. Chin nodded in. Cushion if needed. Ribs towards hips. And then see if you can roll forward and lift the arms. So you're coming all the way down. Now if you find this difficult to come from the floor up, do what we did at the beginning, where you stay at the top and you roll down to where you comfortably can, and then come forward and lift the arms. Try and really visualise that as you're rolling up and down, you're trying to bring each vertebrae down one at a time. And the more you get that feeling of bringing each vertebrae down one at a time, the more work you create through your core, because you create more flexibility and more movement through the spine. So those tummy muscles can work a little bit harder. Now harder still is the arms over the head, just next to your ears. And when you roll up, your fingertips point to the ceiling and you push your fingertips up to the ceiling. Tailbone first, under, one at a time. And again, hands can come back to the thighs or over the head. Start from the chin, tuck in the chin, slide with the ribs, push the fingers up, and knees down really gently. Think about stretching the spine as you roll down. Poor Sophie's getting attacked by a dog. Breathe in, and then breathe out on the lift. And let's do a couple more. The next time you roll down, you get to stay down. And then what we're going to do from here is rest at the bottom. Bring your hands across your chest. So you've got hands to opposite shoulders. Now from here, knees at 90, just above the hips. Option to keep the head rested. Reach the arms up and the legs, and then bring the hands back to the shoulders. A little harder, you're reaching your toes, coming back down. Now the eye gaze forward, just between your thighs. Chin nodded in, so I find it easy not to put the head all the way back on the ground. And I'm keeping that golf ball tucked in under my chin. And then I'm going to try a little harder and see if we can touch the toes. I can just about get there. I think one leg must be shorter than the other. Or I've got one arm longer than the other, don't know which. Breathe out on every reach up. And you want to try to get the shoulder blades off the ground and really reach up to the toes. Any point you need less, just let the head rest. And again, nice strong reach up. Give me 5 more here. Little squeeze up through the front of the thighs, those legs get as straight as possible. For 2. And your last one, holding. From here, right arm, left leg. You can rest the head down, or you can stay with that chin tucked in. So again, if you're here, work with the opposite arm and opposite leg. Or if you're here, don't let the arm go past the ear. And keep gently pressing your lower back down towards the ground. Not forcing, just feeling that you're keeping that contact. So again, alternating arms and legs. Fingertips just pointing back up towards the ceiling each time. We've got this. Breathing as you lower it out on a nice strong lift. 2 more each side. Then you can have a little bit of help. Last one each side. And just take a rest for a second. Bring the feet in again, tilt your pelvis back. Just take a roll through the spine, so just get to re-engage the back muscles. A little tilt back with the pelvis. Just create a little release there. Little breather. And then roll back down. Keep your left knee bent, but don't have the feet too close like we do for bridges. Then walk a little further forward. Take your right leg out straight. Left arm reaches back, right hand on the floor. So your chin tucks in, you're going to roll and reach towards the outside of your ankle, but roll onto the arm and then reach back. So you roll onto your shoulder, breathe in as you reach back, and then breathe out as you lift. And again, if you find that difficult, you can support the head, keep the chin nodded in, and just reach across with the elbow. But start to find some twists, so you're looking to the side. Now if you want from here, you can reach a little further. You can use the hand on the floor and reach and push up towards the toes at the top. So you reach, push, and then release. Again, reach, push, and then release. 5 more. 3, out rhythm that push. For 2, and your last one, and rest. Change sides. So bend your right, extend your left. From here again, right arm off the head, chin nodded in. Reach. Left arm can come out to the side. Look past your left thigh. Breathe in as you reach back. Then when you're ready, if you want to reach a little higher, you'll hold at the top and then push up towards the toes. It might help, as I've just discovered, if that right leg's come quite close, it's quite hard to get up, so you take that right foot a little further away, and that's going to help you to get that lift at the top. You can roll onto that left elbow. Little press into the hand to help you get a little bit higher up towards your toes. String out breath as you get up there. Slow in breath as you ease down. Last 2 again. And then rest. Just take the arms back overhead, the legs out long. Pull your ribs away from your hips like you're trying to make one arm longer, and then the other, and then one arm longer, and then the other. So it just helps to release your upper abs, just reaching from one side to the other. And your last one here, bring the hands down, bring the knees in, hold onto the knees, scoop in the chin, and take a roll up when you're ready. So from here, the leg extensions, little scoop back under the bottom. You're going to ease back, keep your thighs parallel, and you're going to do almost a little can-can. Now one leg then the other, or alternate your legs. If you prefer one, down, or ribs back towards the hips, eye gaze forward so the chin's nodded in. Then you can start to work with the arms as well. One arm lifts, one arm lowers. Now don't let the leg drop. So the whole time you've got your thighs parallel and your knees next to each other. So when you extend, you're extending from the knee rather than dropping the leg to the floor. You're kicking up, getting the right rhythm. 5, 4, 3, pressing the belly button through to the back. 2, your 1, and then bring your feet down. Come forward, take a roll over, straight into box position. And from box position, hands just sit under the hips, head pushes forward, and knees hip distance apart. Lengthen the back, tuck under with your tailbone, your right arm forward and your left leg. First movement is just to lift. And as you're lifting, gently holding the belly button to the back. The next time you lift, hold at the top. Your palm faces down, your elbow comes to the line in line with your shoulder. Reach forward and then lower. Now at the same time as your elbow pulls back, your knee comes out to the side. You're reaching forward and lowering. And you're doing this as slowly as you can. Now again, as you're moving, I feel like tailbone tucking under, belly button holding up towards the back. Breathing in through the nose, out on the left. Again, gently pressing into the hand and try not to let the head drop below your shoulders. If it's too much with the arm and the leg, maybe just work with the arm. Smooth, controlled movement. Last time. And then bring it down. Sit back on your heels, just give the wrist a little release. Let them circle. And then come back when you're ready. So let's find that length first. Push the crown of the head forward. Roll the shoulders back. And feel like your elbows point back to the knees. When you're ready, left arm, right leg. Thumb towards the ceiling. Just working with the lift. And as you're lifting, trying to keep the back in neutral position. And then when you're ready, knee comes to the side. And at the same time as your knee coming out to the side, so does your hand. And when you pull the hand back, your palm facing the floor. As you reach the arm forward, thumb pointing to the ceiling. Now as you're doing this movement, you're trying not to let the ribs or the hips rock from side to side. So you're really thinking about holding from the tummy. Trying not to let the position of your spine change. 3, 2, your 1. Bring the hand down. Set the hips back again. Just a release through your spine. Press down through your fingertips. Try and walk the fingers a little further forward. And press the fingers down a little bit more. Pull back with your shoulder blades. When you're ready, come forwards. Knees under hips, hands under the shoulders. And just do a few circles through the spine. So you're going to tuck under with your tailbone and pull the shoulders slightly back. Circle to the right, push into your right rib. And then push your chest forward, let the rib cage lift, push over to the left hand side and back into the centre. So you're just trying to move your spine in every direction possible. Lifting the ribs up, pushing the ribs to the side. So again, getting each vertebrae moving. Go the opposite way when you're ready. Tuck under the tailbone first, it opens up the lower back. Push into the ribs to the left hand side. Let the ribs push forward. Draw the belly up to the back. Breath in as you push forward. And then breathe out as you pull up. Weight even through both knees. And just let that movement roll through your spine. One last time. And now you are definitely free to enjoy your bank holiday weekend. Till Monday morning at least. Tuck under your toes when you're ready. Walk the hands back, roll onto the feet and bring the hands in. Allow yourself to hang and let the head feel heavy. So when your head feels heavy, it's helping just to stretch and release the entire back of your body. The weight's in the heels and in your own time, just nicely restacking your spine. And again, just not rushing, just rolling back up one vertebrae at a time until you feel nice and tall, everything realigns, and you should feel the spine moves a lot easier, the head lifts and the shoulders draw down. Have a little twist over to the right and then over to the left. Keep the hips forward, keep pulling up right through the top of the head, so you're trying to be as tall as possible and you're trying to maintain that little space between each vertebrae so you can twist and one more each side. And then you may rest in the middle. Give the shoulders a little roll. And definitely applaud yourselves, ladies and gents. Definitely need an applause after that. Well worked.